today's session. But do want to thank you for spending your afternoon with us for this wonderful informational workshop that we're presenting in collaboration with Rising Scholars at the community colleges, the Chancellor's Office, as well as we have wonderful speakers in addition from Solano County Probation, as well as the Solano Community College and Fresno Probation, as well as Fresno City College. And so do want to thank all of our speakers for being with us this afternoon. We really look forward to all of the wonderful information that will be shared with all of you. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. As I mentioned, we are recording the session. We will be sending out the PowerPoints following this session, either later this afternoon or on Monday morning. Q&A, there's a few different options to participate. As you were all let in, you were automatically muted just to reduce the sound. But if you have a question, you can unmute, raise your hand, or use the chat function. So you'll have a few different ways that you can ask questions. So hopefully that helps everyone with any questions that you might have. And with that, I'll go ahead and start introducing all of our speakers that we have lined up for you this afternoon. So first we'll be having from the Rising Scholars program, we have two regional coordinators, Kelly Nadler and Chelsea Esquibas, who are joining us this afternoon. So thank them. And then after their presentation, we will transition to Solano County Probation and their community college. And we'll have Dean Farah, who is a division chief with Solano County Probation, and Shannon Danley, who is an outreach and retention specialist from the Solano Community College Students Overcoming Adversity and Recidivism Program, also known as SOAR, with us. And then upon the conclusion of their presentation, we will have a presentation from Fresno County Probation from Chris Maranian, who is the assistant deputy chief from Fresno County Probation. And then we will also have joining Chris, Nick Moreno, who is the guidance and learning specialist from the Office of Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. And we also have Renee Moncada, who is the education coordinator with Focus Forward and Fresno City College. So as you can see, just from the introductions, we have a wonderful array of individuals here with us this afternoon to share their expertise and resources with all of you. And then I should also note, we have some guests who are in attendance in the audience as well, in addition to many probation staff who have registered, but also the Office of Youth and Community Restoration may be popping in to listen into the conversation as well. So with that, I will turn it over to Kelly and Chelsea to get us started.
Right, Kelly, are you gonna?
Got it.
Thanks. Wonderful. So I want to say thank you and welcome to the presentation, Youth Justice Reimagined. Really appreciate everyone here today. You can go ahead and go to the next slide if you'd like. Thank you. My name is Chelsea Esquibas, and I'm happy to be here with my wonderful colleague, Kelly Nadler. We both serve as consultants, and we work for the California Community College Chancellor's Office, and we focus on the Rising Scholars Network. Kelly and I have been working together for just under 7 years. I can't believe it's been so long. I was like, they can't believe it. Just under 7 years. And our partnership began when Kelly was a deputy director of a statewide systems change initiative, providing funding support to 45 community colleges that started programs for currently and formerly incarcerated students. Kelly has extensive expertise in running college programming in prisons, jails, juvenile halls, and offering support programs for students who have experienced incarceration and are now attending community college on campus. Kelly utilized their expertise with juvenile justice impacted youth to serve as a major player securing the $15 million of ongoing funding to build and grow 45 college programs. So forever indebted, and deep appreciation to Kelly. It's an honor to work with you and be colleagues. I'm Chelsea, and I was asked to consult for the California Community College Chancellor's Office, serving as a director, previously serving as a director at a community college. I utilized one of the grants that I was referencing previously that Kelly was providing from their organization. And when I did that, I was able to start one of the first Rising Scholars programs in California. Within 2 years, the program that I designed and led opened face-to-face college programming, offering associate degrees transferable to Cal State University system to students incarcerated in over 20 yards across 10 California prisons from minimum to maximum security. I'd like to point out that the first graduates in the adult prisons were mostly students that had served very long terms and came from the juvenile justice system and now qualified for parole, and we're going to go home potentially, and we're able to go home with a degree in hand, which is really, really beautiful and is the point of all of our educational work that we're coming together to do. The program quickly became the largest face-to-face program in the nation, as well as partnering with the jail, juvenile facility, and starting work on campus for formerly incarcerated students. So today, Kelly and I work with community colleges, correctional partners, and community-based organizations up and down California and share our expertise and support the design, implementation, and expansion of programs for tens of thousands of currently and formerly incarcerated students. Through the work, we have kind of refined some of our expertise to complement one another. And so Kelly has done a deep dive into the youth, and I have done a deep dive into the adult side, although we partner on just about everything. So we work through both sides of the work. So feel free to reach out to either one of us for any of your needs. We're happy to help. And I will turn it over to Kelly to take us away.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. You are just a powerhouse in everything you do. So what a generous introduction, but just also want to give some love back to you. Okay, today we're going to give you a little bit of an overview, like who we are, who the Rising Scholars Network is, what we're up to, and then specifically focus on the Youth Justice Initiative. It's a new initiative that is aimed at expanding and strengthening current efforts in order to ensure that young juvenile justice impacted folks in California have access to high quality, high touch, free college education. We're going to go over, Chelsea will lead a little bit of conversation there, then talking about these pathways that were created. It's going to be a robust conversation about the pathways to some of the adult programs. And then we'll give you a little bit of information about how to connect with us, partnerships, resources, and we'll make time for questions. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with our work, but the Rising Scholars Network is a network of community colleges who are committed to serving incarcerated and formerly incarcerated students. We really believe and come to this work from a place that we need systems of support that are strong enough to combat some of the impacts of mass incarceration. So our colleges are really focused on constantly learning how to strengthen the supports and services that they're offering in order to ensure that students do not fall through the cracks. So this map on the left, in 2014, this is what the landscape in California looked like. We had one prison with face-to-face college, which was in San Quentin. And then between the CSU, UC, and community college system, we had about 11 colleges that were doing something with justice-involved students. If you fast forward 8 years, the map on the right is just the icons that represent our community college system. These icons don't even include the prisons, they don't include the jails, they don't include any youth detention facility. So what you can see is that in a matter of 8 years, we've experienced enormous growth, and we've tried to keep that growth really student-centered. So right now, Chelsea and I are both consultants for the Chancellor's Office, and the Chancellor's Office is the overseeing body of all 116 community colleges. As of last week, we now have 80 funded Rising Scholars programs, which means that 80 of the 116 colleges in California are offering programs for incarcerated or formerly incarcerated students and are funded. That number will go up. We are serving, this is a really low estimate, but the folks who are using our data system show that we're serving about 16,000 students per semester. I say that's low because I don't know, Chelsea, you might chime in, but I'd say about only 2/3 of our colleges who are in the network are currently collecting the data in the way that they're supposed to be. And so as a condition of being funded, they will be required to start collecting data. And we anticipate that those numbers are a little bit more like 25,000, 30,000. The network itself is run by 400 practitioners. It's probably, every week it grows. And so I would imagine next time we talk, if it's in a few months, we can say we'll have 500. We have some of those fantastic practitioners on the call today. I see Shannon, Renee, Robert. And so really the brunt of the work is carried by faculty, by staff, and by administrators. So the way our rising scholars work, it's a term that gets referred to in a lot of different ways. So when you hear rising scholars, what someone's talking about is work that falls into one of 5 buckets. And it's either work that's happening on campus that's supporting formerly incarcerated students. It's work happening in county jails. Those are usually like 6 to 10 week semesters. It's work happening in our state prisons. So full semesters of students are on ADT, so transferable degree pathways. It's work happening in youth facilities and then also in federal prisons. So these numbers on here total, I think about like 140. So it's kind of like 140 different programs running out of 80 colleges right now. Our funding, we, as of just a couple of years ago, we were a one-time funded program where we had $5 million that we were able to spend over 2.5 years. We used that $5 million to give out 44 grants to community colleges. And then some of those funds were held to pay for like my and Chelsea's position. As of this summer, we are now a $25 million a year ongoing program who is a formal categorical program within the community college system. And a formal categorical program just means that we are now an established program of support with established legislation and funding tied to that support. So this 10 million in ongoing, we did a competitive RFA. We had nearly 80 applicants and 59 of those applicants were selected for 3-year grant terms. So those grant terms started on July of this summer. Because the moment we got the funds and then we were a new categorical program, you had to write regulations, you had to create an RFA, you had to create an entire infrastructure to support a new categorical program. It took about a year for those funds to be released to the colleges. So we had a one-time surplus of $10 million, which we then put out into the field as a competitive grant that went to 21 additional colleges, and they were just awarded those funds last week. What this means is that we now, for the first time ever, have 80 funded programs. This summer, we were successful in getting 15 million ongoing dollars in order to provide grants to up to 45 community colleges who are working with justice-involved youth. The RFA is upcoming. This is kind of why we're here today to talk. And we're doing a lot of laying the groundwork across the state and across different stakeholders in order to prepare California for what this will look like. And also to kind of acknowledge, like, this might be a little messy, right? We're going to all be figuring it out. And part of that is because we're the first in the nation to do this. Right? California is now the first state in the entire nation to dedicate higher education dollars specifically to juvenile justice impacted youth. It's a phenomenal opportunity. I think we as a state and we as different partners and different stakeholder organizations have an incredible opportunity to change the lives of young people throughout the entire state of California. And we have an opportunity to create a national model that could be replicated elsewhere. So what is this going to look like? This new youth justice initiative. I probably don't need to give any of this backstory to this group. You all know what SB 23 is. You all understand probably better than anyone the ramifications that it has on your work and your day-to-day work, right? So we have really, as all of this has been unfolding, trying to work county by county in different ways with probably worked with some of you or you've worked with some of our colleagues on saying, like, how can higher education play a role in SB 823 planning, right? And a lot of that work we were doing county by county, or at least for myself, juvenile probation departments are coming back and being like, this is expensive. Like, this is an expensive program. And we were like, we do need money. And so we were very fortunate to get money. So again, you all know about SB 716, which means that, a student who has completed high school must have access to college. We certainly have students who have access to college. It's often can be they're taking a kind of variety of online courses, and they're maybe not getting on a particular degree pathway, or there's difficulty in accessing courses. There's a lot of things that need to be worked out in order to really provide the students with the opportunities that this initiative aims to provide. So with this $15 million, we're going to do a lot of stuff. We're going to build 45 college programs. There'll be courses offered in juvenile halls, right? We're sort of through something called dual enrollment, through concurrent enrollment, through traditional enrollment, right? Because there's not always going to be the same exact offering appropriate for each student. So it's really about helping each student have access to a particular pathway. We're also going to be asking the colleges to use those dollars to provide comprehensive transition support. So for students who are transitioning from detainment to campus, and even for students who in unfortunate cases would be transitioning from detainment to an adult correctional facility, we want to work to ensure that there is a continuation of access to college, and that our robust network of practitioners, those over 400 folks, are able to be in contact with one another to support students who are moving between different colleges and systems. We also want to promote some new models. You're going to hear from some of the really fantastic leaders in this space today, both on the juvenile probation side and the college side, but you'll hear about some step-down programs. You'll hear about students getting furloughed to attend classes on campus. We know of one college and county who's working on an alternative sentencing program. So we have a lot of research and evidence that shows that higher education is one of, if not the most effective intervention for reducing recidivism. And so we want to rely on that data. We want to rely on that evidence. And we want to promote models that truly support students who are ready for these opportunities in obtaining them. We're also going to build community. This is part of what we're here to do exactly right now. On our side, we're going to do this with the community colleges and building a cohort of the 45. I actually imagine that we will include representation from juvenile probation in that cohort, because this work does not happen in a silo, right? As much as we can say, we're going to do all of this at the college, it's like, we're very reliant on you all. And we're very reliant on county offices of ed. And we're very reliant on OICR. We're just very reliant on this sort of collaborative stakeholder interaction. And we have saved some dollars from this 15 million in order to do in-person trainings, technical support, the kinds of community of practice building that's going to be required in order for us to learn from one another, county by county, to be successful. We'll collect data. We're going to have a 5-year research study once the program rolls out, so that in California, we can really identify where our gaps and our successes are. I won't spend too much time on the specific bill language. This is like the most boring part for most people, but you have access to the slides, so you're absolutely welcome to go back and read the specifics. But in essence, we're asking the colleges who are going to be participating in this program to use the funds for model programming, right? So these key components, a lot of it is based off of the Project Change model out of College of San Mateo. But I also have to say that Solano and Fresno, I mean, their practices are in many ways the exact same, overlapping as well. So the colleges will be funded for a 5-year grant cycle. For us, that's a big deal, because our colleges have never received that many years of ongoing funds without having to come back and reapply, and it's stressful. And we really want our colleges to have enough dedicated funds in order to hire someone who hopefully will be there for a commitment of 5 years to build this out with you locally. Some of the core components of our program is that we expect some courses to be UC and UCSU transferable, right? We expect courses to be offered both on the campus for students who have released from custody, and also in local juvenile detention facilities. The programs will be providing comprehensive support to students, right? They'll help address basic needs. They'll help provide funds for textbook supplies, help get them connected to financial aid and cover fees. Potentially, you can have student stipends, connections with housing, food, transportation, right? We know that all of these things can be enormous barriers to someone who's trying to attend school. And so our colleges, and they're tasked with the chore and the kind of honor of really supporting the students in a wraparound way so that they can focus on going to school. So for our colleges, we talk to them a lot about what dedicated space on campus means. That's going to be a place that the students will come, they'll have community, there's likely going to be peer support involved, meetings, snacks, printing, whatever, you know, the college ends up kind of putting together. But we also expect the colleges to have formal partnerships with key stakeholders like county offices of ed, the probation department, local high school districts, community-based organizations, right? A couple of musts for our college is that they must use dual enrollment. So dual enrollment, it is one term, it means about 4 different things. And so there are a couple of different ways to go about it. But the main thing to know is that for your students who are completing high school, these new programs will be offering opportunities for those high school courses to start earning them college credits. So we think often about our students in juvenile halls as having pretty disjointed educational experiences. They might have attended multiple high schools by the time they get to you. And what we are trying to do with dual enrollment is to say, we got you. Like, we're going to start to streamline your educational experience. We're going to put you on a pathway. And as you are completing high school, you're going to be partway through done with college by the time you complete high school. And then another component is guided pathways is a big thing in our system. We really want more students to reach degree completion quickly versus the sort of taking some classes here, some classes there. So our colleges, we working to ensure that the students are on guided pathways, which just means that they have robust counseling to let them know which classes to take and which to not take so that they can get to degree completion. We need partners in this work, right? System change truly does not happen in a silo, right? And moving the needle requires enormous partnership. Our programs are dependent on county office of ed, on probation. They can play a huge role in California's transformation. And we really rely on our state agencies as allies. So then we need to provide enough funding, right? Focus on retention and completion. Ensure access to dual enrollment. And then this is a big one for our colleges. We're really trying to move into a direction of being incentive-based versus punitive. I want to make sure we have enough time for everything. So I'm going to kind of cruise through a couple of slides here, pass it to Chelsea, and then we'll get some questions in. But our goals are really, I mean, we want to have program leads who can meet students where they are. We want students to have a lot of contact. We want to offer a lot of supports like tutoring, workshops, free technology, multiple pathways, right? This is all information you all know as well, but the youth in the juvenile justice system just have significant overlap with marginalized populations. And so because of all of what we know about who these students are and the supports that they truly need, I'm going to say it again, at the college level, we need systems of support that are strong enough to combat the impacts of mass incarceration and also strong enough to combat some of those marginalized experiences that they have been through. So these again are the course offerings: dual enrollment, transferable courses from multiple pathways, right? So there's an option of doing some career technical education for students, but we also want academic robust pathways for them as well. We imagine the courses being offered in the court schools and community schools and alternative high schools and also on the college campus. We see the key stakeholders as the community college folks, the county offices of ed, and the juvenile probation departments. And then some additional stakeholders are public defenders' offices and a wide variety of community-based organizations. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time here, but just a few of our key players and, you know, some information on dual enrollment. But I think for time, Chelsea, I'm going to hand it over to you. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is so comprehensive. And I just also feel like it's always such a good reminder each time you go through it. So I appreciate all that you covered. Thank you. We're going to talk a little bit about pathways to adult programs. You can go to the next slide, Kelly. So the work that Kelly and I were doing previously when we were starting things inside of the prisons, I put a photo here of some of our very first graduates. And when we look at this picture, we see graduates, right? Standing in front of them is the president of the college. And for anyone who loves education, seeing graduation is always beautiful and always fantastic. But I will say, as we look at these students that are in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, almost all of them entered the system as a teenager. And so these are students that didn't graduate from junior high, some of them not graduating from high school. And for any of us that have worked with students or with young people, sometimes just stopping for a moment and removing some of the feelings or thoughts that come up and just listening to the difficulties that they experienced as a child, right? I would often stop and ask myself, what if we had found them sooner? Like, just what if we had built out through the colleges these opportunities to reach students when they were much, much younger? And instead of them waiting, 20 years having been incarcerated, what if we would have gotten to them when they were younger through dual enrollment and really refined some of our practices and dug in deep to see what exactly we could do as the college system in partnership with the justice system? And so today we now have that opportunity. And so I think a dream of mine and so many educators that I've spoken to in this work is, as beautiful as this picture is, and seeing people that are now going home with degrees in hand. And a couple of these students actually have gone home, one of whom just presented to the entire network yesterday about his huge successes in his professional career now that he has been released. But I just pose the question to all of us, what if we had found them sooner, and what if we had partnered sooner? And so I see here there's a question. Can you share the slides today? Yes, we will. Pathways inside, we want to develop solid pathways inside to transform our youth facilities into educational institutions. Students having the opportunity to reduce their detainment and incarceration, obtain an education, and rewrite their future. You all are doing that work right now, and we are honored to partner with you and really bring the community colleges in deep and support you while these students, my favorite part is the very end, rewrite their future. Okay. I won't go through the Vision for Success goals because you all are going to receive these slides. You can look at them, but these are the Vision for Success goals the community colleges stand by. I will point out, however, that over 5 years on number 2, we will increase by 35% students transferring annually to a UC or CSU. And so while we're building out these pathways to adult programs, we're really keeping that in mind. You can go to the next one, Kelly. Thank you. When we talk about pathways, we're talking about moving through the community college system and into the Cal State or UC system if a student so chooses. It's helpful to see what programs are out there. So that first column is the community college system. There's 136 programs. You can see there that there are 62. FI is formerly incarcerated. So there are 62 formerly incarcerated programs, which feels like is just growing by the day, especially with all the funding that Kelly was talking about earlier. And there are 74 currently incarcerated programs. So those numbers just are rapidly increasing. When we look at the Cal State system, Project Rebound, there are 20 programs. So there are 14 on campuses. So 14 campuses across the state have something on campus for formerly, and 6 currently incarcerated programs. And then for the UC system, there's 9, 8 on campuses, and there was 1 pilot program inside. And so when we look at these numbers, what we're talking about is saying, if your student who is incarcerated or detained, as a youth, what does that pathway look like while they're moving through that system, and then either onto campus upon release, or if they're moving into the adult system, what programs are available? So you can see here that we're building out pathways in a really comprehensive way so that we can create a pathway for them to get to their next educational goal. Thank you. How are these pathways unique? I'm just going to touch lightly on them because you all are so familiar with some of these things that come up. You see them every single day. So student transfers, you know that they're either going home or into the adult facilities, or something else may be happening with that particular student or youth. We need to make sure the pathways are mirrored both inside facilities and outside on our campuses, whether it be the community colleges or the Cal States or UCs. Planning for the release. So we're planning for students to be released hopefully sooner than later, while making sure that the first priority are the facility rules. So the student is the center of the focus, right? Is the center focus of all that we do, and also honoring the institutional and facility rules that exist where they are currently living. College flexibility. So when we're talking about that, we want to talk about making sure we are as flexible as possible while making sure that we're upholding our standards to the highest level and creating specific professional development for our faculty members and those from the colleges that are entering the institutions. Great. And so the way we structure the pathways, so when we talk about pathways and we talk about achieving degree or achieving their educational goals, we're talking about scaling the learning, right? So we want this to go across the state. This means that we need to work with multiple stakeholders. So all of you, those at the colleges, the academic senate that represent faculty, community-based organizations. When we design things, the student is at the center. So a deep inclusion of the student voice and truly listening to what the student has to say as we design things to make sure that we're meeting their needs. Technology and partnership with the system to make sure that we're integrating that technology and refining things on our end to truly meet the needs of the student, and being innovative while we do that. So finding ways to meet the unique needs that exist. And so focusing on the student and the contributions to the classroom. So connect with us, reach out to us. You can reach us. We are famous for getting back pretty quickly. We try to be as fast as possible, but you can reach us through our webpage. And it's listed there. And then we also have a listserv and we have a calendar of events. So we have tons of statewide workshops going on all the time, or you can just shoot us an email. So our emails are up here and I will open it up for questions.
Thank you so much, Kelly and Chelsea. And so we can take a few minutes to take some questions if there are any, and then we'll transition to the presentation from Solano. I would kick it off with just a couple quick questions. And this is more of a, also maybe a public service announcement to broadcast the office hours that we're going to be doing in November that we'll share at the end. But what would be your recommendation for those probation departments where maybe they don't have yet an established relationship with their community college? What would you recommend as the best first step?
I think the best first step is to use our website's directory to figure out if that college already has a Rising Scholars program. So if they do, and I'll pop that in the chat, but you can use the map to see where you are, what colleges around you have Rising Scholars programs, and then the directory will give you an example of the kinds of programs they currently offer and a point of contact to email. So really reaching out to the college and starting that conversation. If they do have a program, fantastic. If they don't, you can reach out to Chelsea and I, and we can get you connected with someone at the college who can help facilitate those conversations. But I think the best first step is to see, you might have a cool on-campus program a couple miles away already running, and then they might just be very excited at the opportunity to get some additional funding and serve your students.
And then my second question, the new funding that was just made available, and congratulations, I think that's amazing and wonderful. Is that for just new programs or for those relationships that, because we're going to have some great presentations in a moment as well, can it be used to expand existing programs as well?
Most definitely. Yeah, we are very excited to be able to offer some of our fantastic existing programs an opportunity to ongoing sustainable funding in addition to building new ones.
Great. So we'll pause one last time in case there's anyone else who has a question, and certainly there'll be an opportunity at the very end if folks have questions, but if there was anything that anyone had right now that they wanted to ask either Chelsea or Kelly, we can do so. And while we're waiting, I will go ahead and attempt to get my screen share going. So hopefully everyone is seeing Solano's slide. Is everyone seeing what? Okay, excellent. Well, then if there aren't any questions, and hopefully there isn't because I can't see the chat anymore. So Amy, if there are, let me know. But I will turn it over to Dean.
Thank you, Rosie, and thank you to everyone that's here today. It's our honor to share with you pieces of our program. I will speak a little bit to the history of how we got to where we are, and then the main focus of our presentation will be done by Shannon Danley, the coordinator for the Students Overcoming Adversity and Recidivism at Solano Community College. He's done an incredible job of expanding the program, providing mentorship, case management, and support for our youth, formerly incarcerated youth, foster youth, unhoused, and other vulnerable students. Another thing to know about Shannon is he's a U.S. Army combat veteran and a distinguished Army Ranger. You would never guess that in talking to him in his calm demeanor, but it's meaningful. And he's active in a number of organizations in the community focused on just advocating for equity and anti-racism in our educational systems and community. And he's continuing to work on himself while he works on our students. So it's a pleasure for me to work with him throughout the year, but definitely a pleasure to be here with him today. A little bit about Solano County. I became the superintendent of the Solano County Juvenile Detention Facility in 2016. And some early work that had been done, and everything that we speak to today is really going to speak to the commitments to the youth and their education and making changes. And that is a shared commitment from Chief Chris Hansen and all the way down to our line staff in the facility. It is a commitment on the part of the Solano County Office of Education, Superintendent Estrella Henderson, and all of her amazing staff that work with us in and out of the facility to provide opportunities for youth. Early on, our department committed to funding a student support specialist. So this is going back even before my arrival in the facility. And that staff person is a Solano County Office of Education staff who works within our facility to track the coming and going of youth and making sure that we are accounting for all of the credits that they have when they come into custody, and that when they leave, the school that they're reporting to has all of the information so that credits aren't lost in that process. And that's an important early investment, because then we were able to better understand exactly where youth were in their education and what was needed. The other thing that was done early was Chief Hansen brought in administrators and superintendents from local schools to come and tour the facility. Our focus was on assuring that local educators understood what it was we were trying to do to make a difference in these young people's lives, and that when they were received back in the community, that there was a smooth transition that was welcoming and not questioning. And that went a long way to garnering support throughout our education system in the county. In our Challenge Academy, which is a 9-month commitment program, when youth were furlough eligible, we would send a staff with the youth if the youth was interested in college, and they would go over to the campus, and the staff would, depending on the staff, hang out and learn a little bit from the class, or hang out right outside and bring the youth back. And so there was a commitment to trying to do what we could to get youth engaged in education. In 2016, we made some outreach to Solano Community College, and were able to secure an on-site class for the first time at the Solano Juvenile Detention Facility. We had 12 kids enroll and 11 successfully complete the course, and that was a big thing. Sadly, what we could not do was continue to bring classes in, because we couldn't provide enough funding for the community college to be able to support that. And so the prior presentation is music to my ears. Any support that we can get to be able to do that is greatly appreciated. And from the on-site class, we did start to develop a relationship with Solano Community College and started online classes. Through the pandemic, that was pretty much all we could do, but it was meaningful. And if you can go to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about how we support the success in juvenile detention. Thank you, Rosie. So our goal and what we do is support and assist detained youth in identifying and achieving academic and life goals. This collaborative focus on education and success, this is really where it makes a difference in Solano County. We are true partners. We seek ways to make things happen. Our Evergreen Academy is our on-site school. It is WASC accredited, so there's no transfer of credits back and forth between a continuation school. It is its own accredited on-site school. And since 2016, we've had over 100 graduates for a county of our size. That's significant. And we're very, very proud of that. We hold graduation ceremonies, full cap and gown, pre-pandemic, and as we're coming out of pandemic, we invite family members to attend those graduations, and there's a lot of support for the students. We're often asking the students, what's next? We want to plant that seed, but there's always more that can be done as we celebrate a success. Let's celebrate it. Now let's figure out what's next. We also committed to a construction trades program in the facility. If you the picture at the bottom there shows the different workstations. We have a number of things offered, whether it's carpentry, electrical, plumbing, masonry. And again, this speaks to the partnership and the willingness to invest on the part of Solano County. And so we pay a Solano County Office of Education instructor to come in and teach this course with our students. And even students that have graduated high school can still participate in that course. As they get proficient in an area, their work is recognized and it is certified in a national database so that when they leave us, wherever they land, they can bring up that number and it will show that they are trained and competent and proficient in the areas of instruction. We also partnered with Solano County Office of Education to bring in wellness centers. And these are dedicated spaces within the facility on the living units where youth can go. And if they need a place to cool down, to take a few moments to contemplate, it is there. In addition to that, we contracted again with Solano County Office of Education for a behavior wellness therapist to be on site in the facility full time. And so that staff member, she works with youth on any number of issues that are either presenting in the immediate situation or ongoing struggles or challenges for the youth. And it really has made a big difference in getting youth focused on school and helping them develop strategies to keep them in the educational environments as well. And then the other thing that we've done within the facility is contracted. We had a contracted tutor for a number of years. We elevated that contract to make sure that it was a certified instructor. As we had more youth participating in college, we recognized that our needs were a little bit greater. And so again, we invested in an on-site full-time tutor certified instructor that works with our youth to make sure that they're assisting the youth in their progress. I can't speak enough to the partnership and the shared vision. If we didn't have the partnership with Solano County Office of Education and Solano Community College, we would not be having the successes we are with our youth and their education. If we did not share the vision of doing everything we can for the youth, we wouldn't be where we are today. And a commitment to figuring out how to make it work. You see in that picture on the bottom, that's a chop saw, and no superintendent in their right mind wants saws and drills and tools and things loose in the facility. And they're not loose, but they're there, and they're there because we make the effort and do the work to say, how do we make it work? How can we do it safely? And how can we try something new? With that, I am going to hand it over to Shannon Danley. Again, Shannon has done an incredible job of just working with us. How can we make this work? What do we need next? We got that. What's next? And so with that, I'll pass my appreciation and the microphone over to Shannon.
Thank you, Dean. Where can I start? I took over SOAR during the pandemic, which was difficult. Being on lockdown. Community partnerships are the most important thing. It takes everybody working on that same page and coming to agreement. And throughout this process, I know that every single county is different. From Solano to Yolo, Fresno, every single county is different, but it can be achieved. What makes our program work so well is our partnerships with our community. We're at a community college, and I've always believed that any college having the word community in there should exemplify that belief of being that community, to give back and to help support. So if I can get the next slide, please. SOAR has taken on a point, not only with our community partners, but with our case management component. Before we even initially enroll a student, we've already started our mentoring process. And with our students inside juvenile hall, they have been, believe it or not, I've actually appreciated working with our youth more so than our adults. They're eager to learn. It's just about us taking our time out, listening to them. We know that a main component of them being in there is the trauma that they've already suffered prior to them entering into the system. And that's where our case management components come in. I have a team of case managers that not only perform an intake with our students, but they follow up. So once they're released, they're still in touch with this person all the way through their graduation. And that is a big key through navigating community college. It works, this component has been successful with our state and adult facilities. As they get released and come to the college, they sit down, they do an intake. We find out where they're struggling, the resources that they need, and then we provide them for them. We are one big support network for them. And because of our relationship with our community partners, that's what makes this work. You name it, from, we also provide housing, which is a big one. And with our program, what was so unique, me myself being formerly incarcerated, the one thing I looked at is that some of our students, not only are they formerly incarcerated, or a lot of them are juvenile, but then it turns out to where they foster youth as well. And sometimes they're homeless. So I took all three fields and placed them up under one umbrella, because there's needs for each one. The next slide, please. Our mentorship components, like I said, it's about listening to our students. We hear what the students need. A lot of my staff have lived experience. We're not here to glorify their stories. We're here to help them understand why they did what they did. And hopefully there's some remorse in the end. I've had countless conversations with a number of youth, and they've all impressed me. I've watched them grow. From the time they enrolled, we have success stories. One of our students will be graduating next spring with 3 associate's degrees. You know, so, I mean, they're awesome kids. And that's where I think we fail to look at, that they're still kids. They just made a mistake. And we just need to figure out how to help them recorrect that mistake and let them know. I believe in higher education, and I believe that reduces the recidivism rate. Right now, I'm offering a welding program, which we have youth that's being transported over to our college campus. Upon completion this semester, not only will they get a certificate, but I'm paying their first month's union dues. We're connected with unions across the state. So once they're released from juvenile hall, we'll be able to go right straight into a full-time career. I'm working with other programs and other faculty to move that market up to our automotive, our advanced auto manufacturing. Me and Mr. Brooks have, for the past year, we've been dedicating time to work on bringing cosmetology inside for barbering. It's about giving these youth the skills so when they get released, they have skills that they can actually come back to the community with. Next slide, please. We have our honor society, and it takes all of us. Not only do we provide academic and career pathways for all our students, my job is intently on focusing on our students who have been justice impacted and connecting them. I've been working with our four-year colleges for transfer for our juvenile youth. East Bay has Project Rebound, which is another big program for our formerly incarcerated, a support program. It's connecting our youth to the right programs that will help them succeed and follow them through after they leave from us. Not only do we hope we can improve and impact their lifestyle with having them focus on education, but it's also to create safer communities. You know, I think a lot of the youth, from talking to them constantly, they never once thought that they could ever attend college. A lot of them didn't know that. And I think just planting that seed and letting them know that this is something that they can do, they will be successful. One of the students, he did, which I know many of us have had in college, is stats. This kid actually managed to get a B in a statistics course through correspondence, which is not an easy task, not having a professor teach this to you. So, you know, my hats go off to him. His GPA stood out there. He is a part of our honor society. He's made the dean's list every single semester, as well as our president's list. I have two others that are following right behind. And I think that sets that standard and that motivation for the rest of the youth in there once they see one of their own doing it. Next slide. Matter of fact, that was our student right there. We went over and inducted him into our PTK, which is our honor society. It was a special day, and I think he kept thanking us, but he's the one who put in the work. He took the time out, and it took me and everybody with probation just to work hand in hand together to make this happen. And I can tell you, it's about having open dialogue and open conversations. Everybody in Solano County has been wonderful. Dean, Mr. Brooks, Chief Hansen, love him to death. He's all about moving the needle and pushing it further. And that's what it takes. Next slide.
I think this is our last slide, but I just want to again thank you, Shannon, for all of your work. What Shannon's not sharing with you is that this young man received the honor and was not eligible to go to the formal function in the community. And so Shannon and that group brought the formal function to him in our facility, and the staff pictured there, Mr. Brooks and Ms. Hall made sure with some help from others that we were able to celebrate that young man in the way that he deserved. And that just speaks to the commitment of the staff within the facility, their dedication to the youth that they work with, and meeting that goal that we have of always seeing our kids do better when they leave from us. To speak to the remainder of this slide, we try to provide the supports in the community. We have centers for positive change and youth achievement centers in the community, so that if young people are coming out of the facility, there's a place for them to land and continue to receive services through the probation department. And then we also have a number of housing supports, typically geared towards adults, but we are working on funding some reentry housing at our back campus in the future. But we have to secure the funding for that, and we've got some hoops to jump through. But we are committed to continuing to push that needle, as Shannon mentioned, to strengthen our educational components within the facility and our continuity for when youth leave, whether they leave at 16 and are going back to their local school, or as we see now, could be 24. We hope to see youth walking out the door with a full 4-year degree. And that is a goal that we'll continue to strive for. With that, we are open to any questions. Oh, in the interest of time, we'll hold until after Fresno.
Sorry, I was just typing that before you spoke. So we could probably take one quick one. There hasn't been anything posted in the chat. That's why I felt safe saying that. And I know there probably are questions for you all. A lot of great information and partnership that both you and Shannon have shared. So really do want to thank you. And so we will transition to Fresno to their presentation. And so I will kick it over to Chris, and I also see Chief Haynes here with us as well. So I'm not sure who's going to be kicking it off. And then upon the conclusion of their presentation in partnership with their, I know, city colleges, then we'll open it up for Q&A.
Thanks, Rosie. Chris is going to move this forward, but I just want to say thank you. Great presentations so far. But we thank everybody for the chance to be able to present our program.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us today. Here in Fresno County, the key to our department's success with college enrollment and continued education for our youth has been the great relationships we have with our court school and collaborative partner Focus Forward. Due to their involvement, we have youth participating on-site in college courses and earning college credits, and creating linkages for continued education for our youth when they leave our care. With me today are Nick Moreno, the guidance learning specialist for our court school, and Renee Moncada with Fresno City College and the education coordinator with Focus Forward. With that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Nick, to talk about the amazing things you're doing with our youth.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Moreno. I'm the guidance learning specialist here for Alice Worsley School. We are the court and community school working for Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. About 4 years ago, we were trying to figure out, we knew the importance of access for our students and how we could kind of thrust them into the experience of college life and what that looked like, and how we could get them to start seeing something a little more for their future. The majority of our kids here were high school students at that time. And so I know everybody has always mentioned this, community partnerships, collaboration. I mean, those are huge components of any successful program. And luckily, we had a partnership with Focus Forward and also with Renee Moncada, who's doing, wearing two hats at the same time. And so that was really valuable to us, because what we wanted to do was offer our students a dual enrollment opportunity where a high school student would be able to collect not only a high school credit, but also a college credit. And then with our population, the way kids coming in and out at all times, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be something that was going to be a discouragement to students. It was going to be something that was going to be beneficial to them. So working really hard with Renee Moncada, we were able to develop, and then luckily we were able to obtain a college professor from Fresno City College to come out on Saturdays to offer a dual enrollment course. We wanted to start out slow because, again, we don't want to shock our kids into having a negative experience. And so we started our first dual enrollment on a Saturday. Participation was, we weren't sure yet because, again, these were high school students who maybe were credit deficient, and then also maybe never really thought in their minds that they could be successful in college. And luckily, Dr. White, who was the professor for our first dual enrollment program, she really got these kids motivated. The kids had a great experience, and we were able to be successful. Right now, ever since we started this program a little over 3 years ago, we're averaging anywhere between 12 to 15 high school students who are participating in our dual enrollment program. And I would probably say at least 90% are passing. They have stayed with the program. They have achieved something that even they didn't think that they could do, earning a college credit. Even though initially the first 2 classes that we offered were only 1 unit based courses. They still could not believe that they had a college transcript or that they were a college student. So, it was just about giving them that opportunity to experience it. And luckily it's been successful. And we've just been pushing. We've been pushing for more opportunities like this. And then again, with having Renee being that connection, and with Focus Forward, providing the mentors, and then with probation, providing the staff at the facility. So it's just really been a good partnership, and watching our kids here at Alice Worsley be successful. So, we started out with 2 courses. This past year, we actually offered 4 courses. We had 2 1-unit courses in the fall, and then we offered our first 2-unit course in the spring, along with our first 3-unit course. And our first 3-unit course, and then, of course, the key here is always ensuring that we have kids who are going to be available for the whole amount of time to complete the course. Because again, you don't want to start a kid off with that course and then they're not going to be able to finish it, or they get early release, or however that looks for them. So we successfully completed that. That was this past spring, and it was really great. In addition to the dual enrollment, that dual enrollment has been really awesome. But in addition to the dual enrollment, 2 years ago, we also started offering traditional city college courses. And again, with having Renee kind of sit with us and talk about what that looks like, and how can we give the student access to be able to be successful. And it's really just about having those conversations with the kids and letting them know that they can achieve a more traditional. So now we have a small adult population, kids who have graduated with us or came to us as graduates. And so, what do we do with them? We have a traditional welding program where they're able to earn certifications. And then we also have our horticulture course. But we wanted to give them more. We wanted to give them the experience of community college. And so we were able to enroll them in community college in the various counseling courses to kind of get their feet wet, to kind of get them believing what they can achieve. We have Counseling 54, for example. We have like a civic responsibility and leadership, college life and management, Counseling 53. So it's just to get their feet wet into what a college experience would be in terms of writing the assignments that are going to be needed, what the criteria. And so now, we have 8, this particular semester, we have 8 students who are enrolled in traditional Fresno City College classes. The majority of them are taking full loads, and they are working hard. And, with our teachers, we have teachers who are available after school so that they can make sure they complete their assignments. We have Focus Forward participating. They have their mentors who come and make sure that if a student has questions, the communication has been really great for our kids, and them just having that positive attitude, seeing that there's something else that they can achieve, that when they leave, that they know that they have something in their pocket that's theirs. And so that's been the really good thing that's been working out with our kids here at Alice Worsley. And I don't want to get too much into the whole Focus Forward in City College. I'll let Renee talk for once. Sorry, Renee. But I'll go ahead and hand off to Renee, and he'll tell you more on his end as to how this is working.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. It's been a wonderful partnership. And I believe that the common thread that you'll hear throughout today is that programs don't make students successful. People make students successful. The program that we run at Fresno County Juvenile Justice Campus under the leadership of our Chief Haynes, who's developed I would say a college-going culture in itself, because he is invested in the efforts that Focus Forward, Pipeline to Opportunity in particular, is doing in helping to construct the 3-prong approach to into assuring higher access to higher education through Pipeline to Opportunity. Those 3 avenues being dual enrollment, regular college enrollment while in custody, and out of custody enrollment for freshmen students who are exiting the JJC. And in all three avenues, we've seen a tremendous amount of success. The partnership, again, you just met my colleague, my partner, Mr. Moreno, Nick Moreno. He had hair, believe it or not, when we started this, all these services, and I had a full head of black hair as well. Now I don't know what's happened to it, but it's been a labor of love, to say the least. We wake up every day not to do our job. We wake up every day to continue on our mission, and that's a big difference in how we approach the program and how we approach services overall. I can't speak enough to that collaboration and that spirit. And it does. It starts at the top as far as the culture is concerned, setting the tone. And Chief Haynes, thanks again for all the support that you provide and the can-do attitude that you've always instilled in us. But I would like to say that since the inception, we have 120, at the end of this semester, we will have 129 completers in dual enrollment. The average GPA for this group over the course in the span of 3 years is 3.5 or higher. The retention rate has teetered between 95 and 97%. So we know that the programs are effective. They're being executed beautifully, but a lot of behind the scenes, there's a lot of careful planning that takes place, and that's something that I can't do by myself. That is something that I work very closely with Mr. Moreno on. He ensures that each student is able to be there for the span of the course. Why? Because we don't want that interruption. Why? Because we want to afford the student every fighting opportunity to succeed and complete the course successfully. Because in doing so, we dispel the myth that remember, we're dealing largely with the population that is first generation college bound. And I can't tell you, Mr. Moreno, you could probably recall this last go around, we did a priority registration day just for Alice Worsley, where we dedicated the day to enroll them in the following semester courses, in any of the programs that they wanted to be involved in, whether it be dual enrollment, regular college enrollment in custody or out of custody. And you see students literally sweating, nervous, but they want to take the course. They want to take the chance. But, you know, I asked one student. I'm sorry, is that a question? I asked a student on this last occasion, why are you so nervous? And he tells me, I've never taken a college course in my life. I never pictured or envisioned myself in college before. I don't know that I can do this. And I said, you know, of course you can. Mr. Moreno and I, you know, gathered around him and cheered him on. And lo and behold, he's in his, second, third semester already and doing wonderfully. And when I talk to him now, he's got a smile from ear to ear. And this is very reminiscent of our students. We've seen students start out with dual enrollment courses and dispel that myth and gain that confidence up to the point of now being regular college freshmen taking full loads. And right now I can tell you this fall semester, all of our students that are taking a full load are still averaging a BA average. So I am crossing my fingers, folks, but I can almost see the writing on the wall when I tell you that we are going to have several Dean's List students at the end of the fall semester. And that is because probation has worked so closely with us in the scheduling. This does not work very easily. And let me tell you, every little step is a step that has to take a lot of pre-planning to carry out so that things run smoothly. Probation has been very accommodating to our students. You can see that they have a genuine joy to see the students enrolled in college, and they accommodate at every turn. And so that collaboration between Alice Worsley High School, probation, and Fresno City College is an ideal one in that sense. We also now have a dedicated financial aid specialist who is working directly with our students that are in custody to take care of their financial needs as it relates to FAFSA. Because the more you delve into this, you find out that most of these students do not fall in the classic financial aid status. Most of them will be independent status. Some of them are foster youth, and so they require additional paperwork that could be extremely cumbersome. You multiply that with, being confined, and it makes it a whole lot more difficult for the student to get the help or the answer or understand the process. We've eliminated that barrier by having a financial aid specialist, a full-time specialist dedicated to working specifically with our students. And that is in great part due to the president of the college, who is also a very huge proponent of justice impacted youth and higher education. That's Dr. Robert Pimentel. Nick has already spoken to a great deal of what we're offering at Alice Worsley High School, but I can just finish by saying that as it pertains to SB 716, providing access to higher education is one thing, but what we see happening at Fresno County Juvenile Justice Campus is far greater, and that is that we're offering a comprehensive approach because we're not only offering services for students in high school, we're offering students services for students who have completed high school that are still incarcerated, and we're still offering services to make that soft handoff or that warm handoff to rising scholars at the community college upon exit. And I think when you take a look at being proactive, I think we've really met the mustard here when we take a look at the services that we're providing, the culture that's been established, and the collaborative partnership that I can truly say is a working partnership, because nobody sits on their behind in this program. We're all working, literally rolling our sleeves up and working at problem solving to make this as smooth as possible for our students.
Thank you so much for that presentation. A lot of great information, and I think a common thread throughout all of our presentations has really been about the emphasis on collaboration and how none of this can happen without the partnership amongst the various organizations and really the commitment and vision of all involved. And I think I just want to commend all of our speakers this afternoon really for making this the vision a reality, and for all the inspiration and the being able to show youth that there is another pathway that maybe they had not considered. And so putting them on that pathway and supporting them throughout that process. And so really do just want to commend all of you. And certainly I know that there's great examples across the state, and certainly through the increased opportunity that's now available from the additional funding that's been infused to Rising Scholars. I think more great things are set to come. And so with that, I will pause. We do have a few minutes where we can take some questions. And so I do want to make sure we allow for that, because I know a lot of great information has been shared, and I know folks would be very eager to answer more questions or go into more detail about something that they have shared. And so one of the questions is from Yvette Rodriguez Vila, and she asked to you, Mr. Mercado, mentioned that hands-off from juvenile system to Rising Scholars. If a young student starts with Rising Scholars and is interested in furthering their education to the state or UC systems, would they be assisted into Project Rebound or Underground, in essence, be handed off to those programs?
Absolutely. I'm glad there isn't enough time really to share all the great things that are taking place. But let me tell you, I mentioned earlier the priority registration day. It's a special day that we designed specifically for Alice Worsley, for our students at the JJC. At that time, we include the counselor for Rising Scholars from Fresno City College, and also the Project Rebound coordinator from Fresno State, to join us in that, in sharing their experience with the students and their services. As of this summer, as a matter of fact, Project Rebound from Fresno State has now placed a paid intern to work with Pipeline to Opportunity in servicing the students. So she's working side by side with me. And so as you can see, there's a full scale across the board, across the institutional landscape, if you will, between high school, community college, and the CSU. We're hoping to continue that bridge all the way to the UC. But as it stands right now, we have some of our first students already looking in really great shape to have all their CSU and transferable credits ready to go upon release from the JJC. And so those connections have been made.
Great, thank you. Chief Haynes?
Hey, thank you. I just wanted to just say thank you to Renee, Nick, Chris. I mean, just for the passion that, that you can tell that this is a labor of love for them as they do this work. I think one of the things that Renee did talk about is, we have a comprehensive system starting, making sure that, when we do our transition work for keep sure that our young people have a really rock solid plan for their educational goals before they're released from college. No matter how long they spend time with us, we make sure that we've had those connections with the local school districts, of course, with the city college and all the other work that we're doing with our other educational providers. That's been a huge part of this, is making sure that we did this not just piecemeal, but we wanted to look at this as a total package of opportunity for our young people, no matter whether you're here for 60 days or whether you're going to be here for a year or whether you're going to be here for 3 years. When we look at back, looking at some of our kids that are going to be going through our secure track program. So it's a comprehensive program, and the work that Dean and the folks are doing up in there in Solano, it's hard work, but it's work that we all want to get done, so that we want to make sure that our young people have and understand what that next step is, making sure that there's no confusion, that there's no question about what your credits are when you leave, or what parents need to do in those next steps. And so you can see we've got some dedicated people both here in Fresno and Solano, and of course in other parts of the state that are doing that same kind of work. So again, I just wanted to commend everybody for the good work.
Yes, and great points, Chief Haynes. Dean?
Yeah, just thank you, Chief Haynes. In hearing the Fresno presentation, it dawned on me that I probably did a little bit of a disservice. The focus absolutely has to be on the partnerships and the vision being there. But the other pillar in that is the staff in the facility who are dedicated to positive outcomes for the youth. And if we didn't have the group of staff that we have in Solano that are, boots on the ground, working with Shannon day in and day out, and working with those youth, having those conversations in the off hours, in the evenings, when they're struggling, when they want to quit. Those are our juvenile correctional officers that are working with those youth, and really are a component of this piece that should not be lost. And I just want to credit them. I know they're in all facilities throughout the state. That, and when it is a young person of color and it is a staff of color, when it is an African-American male speaking to an African-American male about what can be done, that is received differently and better than I can ever communicate it to a kid. Might be the same intention and the same desire, but it is critical that our staff are reflective of the populations we serve, and that those folks that we work with to provide those services are likewise.
Yeah, such important points, Dean. Thank you. Shannon?
Yeah, just to add on, and Dean has mentioned a lot. With our African-American population, one of our youth that were formerly in custody, upon their release, they came to campus. We not only secured them with their courses, and they're doing excellent, but I have another program that I oversee at our campus called A Man, which is just focused strictly on our African-American male development. This student has surprised me in many ways. I took him every year. We have a conference, an annual conference in LA. I took this student with me to LA, and it has just transformed his life. His thing now is not so much as going to UC. He's looking at transferring to a HBCU here. So it takes all of us. You have to be dedicated. You have to have compassion. And at the forefront, you have to remember that we were young at once too.
Mhm.
So it's just about giving back to them.
Yeah, such inspiring stories. And I really do want to thank everyone for sharing them today. I think all of this work, it's important to celebrate the successes, big and small. And so really do want to thank all of you for the great work that's being happening, and also that it doesn't end today. So on that note, I want to share my screen one more time to make sure that I don't miss the opportunity to share information on the TA office hours. So hopefully you're all looking at that. And don't worry that you have to write down what date we'll be sending this out, but to continue this conversation, and really do want to thank Kelly and Chelsea again. I actually think this is one of the ideas that they had come up with in our talking about this workshop, to be able to offer an opportunity to really talk further. We know that this work is challenging, as many have noted, but everyone is very committed. And so how do we get through some of the challenges that may be experienced, especially for those maybe where they're in the smaller jurisdictions and there's need to partner together to work. And so what you see before you is 3 different office hours that will be held. And so you can register hopefully for the one that you've been assigned, because there's some thinking that where some partnerships can happen and like issues are likely being experienced, but certainly not prohibitive. For whatever reason that date doesn't work for you, do feel free to join a different day. We will send this information out, as I mentioned, via email to everyone registered, so that you have the opportunity to join, but did want to share that, because as we mentioned, this is a journey and a partnership, and certainly takes time to put all of this together. So I really do just once more want to thank everyone. I know folks left some of their contact information and some of their slides, and we'll send that out certainly. But do just really want to commend all of our speakers and all of you for the work that you do day in and day out. And so I just wish everyone a great rest of your day, and we'll get all this information out to you in the very near future. But thank you for your partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you all.